Today, I wanted to continue on strategies for marketing and tactics for marketing. And yesterday, we talked about strategies. We started with one quote. It was, "Marketing is the generous act of helping others become who they seek to become." That's by Seth Godin. And that was the premise of what we talked about. We talked about three things under your strategy, which is who is your ideal audience, the people you're trying to target. Number two, what makes you unique? What's your story? Number three was, what's your objective? Are you looking for increasing brand awareness or to generate leads? Now, this is part two. This is where we talk about tactics. So, in regards to tactics, I brought it up second because we really need to figure out part one to this first. And we skip that. We go into tactics first all the time. And so tactics will have a lot to do with your strategy behind it. What's that message? Remember that part. There are two steps under tactic. Number one is, where will you market? This is where you decide what avenue you're going to take. Well, we touched on this a few times in the past. And I'm going to tell you the same thing. You start with where your strength is. What is your strength? What are you doing that's amazing right now? If you were to ask your friends and family and your colleagues and your past clients in Sphere where you excel, that's where you would go all in at. And you have two options here. Number one is online, and number two is offline. That's how easy I've broken it up for you. And online, there are some choices here. You've got social media, Google leads, Facebook leads, dare ads, newsletters, digital door knocking, online buyer and seller seminars. There's so much you can go and do online. Now offline, it's a little bit more old school, but you've got your events, cold calling, for sale by owners, expireds, open houses, mailers, flyers, door knocking, etc., and so forth. But here's the challenge with tactics. We don't ever create a process. We just say, okay, this is good. I'm going to go with mailers because I want to farm in this area. It's a great idea. We forget to identify the small area. We forget to identify the demographics. We don't even talk about what our message is going to be to our audience. And then we say, okay, let's do this. I'm going to just mail out to about 1,000 people for maybe 6 months and see how that goes. That's how we go into real estate. We don't take the time to outline the plan. Let's take a look at what the priority would be here. My priority is I'm going to farm to, let's say, a specific area, to specific demographics so they can be aligned with the message that I have now on my postcards. What I would do is I create that one priority and say, okay, well, let's pick 3 strategies that I'm going to take with farming. What do those 3 strategies look like? And each strategy will have 3 actions. We stop too soon when we create tactics. We stop asking, well, what happens after that? What's next after that? And we can't ever stop asking that question, but we do. So I'm going to give you an example here because it's part 2 to tactics. It's stay consistent, but I'm going to be very specific here and I'm going to bring farming into the picture. When you see the most successful people out there in any business, they show up regularly for years. You can count that they will be there. Their message continues to grow and it continues to touch people. But it's the consistency of that message that evolves over time that makes them successful. Now I'm going to use farming as an example here. With farming, it takes a very long time to break in, but it can be extremely rewarding. Now here's the example I want to outline for you with farming. So when you're looking to farm, you've identified the area, right? We did the strategy. We identified the message that we're going to deliver. We identified our objective. Now we need to outline this and say, okay, what are we going to deliver? And I'm going to show you how inconsistently unclear everything is when it comes to you doing marketing. When you want to market into an area, you've got to break it down to the simplest process possible so you can be consistent. So here it is. I did 24 pieces in the span of 1 year. And I broke down the subject line, the outline of how it looks. We've designed it from scratch. We didn't leave anything to chance. Because I knew if I did, what would happen is I would say, oh, well, you know what? I didn't have time to do it this month, so I'm going to skip this month. And then that month becomes 2 months. So in everything that you do in marketing, I need you to go all the way from the beginning to all the way to the end. What happens after you've created the area you're going to target, the demographic, the objective, the story, now the tactics? Well, what happens after you've created these pieces? What happens after they get delivered? How do people contact you? What's the process from client going into the CRM to follow up? What's the nurture process? What happens after they talk to you? What happens after they start an escrow with you? What happens after they close? And what happens after that? The question we forget to keep on asking is, what's next? Which is the most essential part to this, which is the consistency. If you keep on asking what's next, what's next, what's next, your process will be full and that marketing will be complete. We finish halfway through with all the marketing we do. We kind of half-ass it. And so with this consistency part, I'm going to outline part of what I did. If you want the whole thing, I've got it outlined in detail for you. But I'm going to give you an example here. 24 pieces, and I chose specifically Malibu in this area because we're going to break into that area in a specific area niche in Malibu. But we've got, here are the 24 pieces. We have 6 pieces that go out in a year that are local market stats. 4 pieces that go out in a year that are things to do specifically for spring, summer, fall, and winter. 2 pieces that go out a year which say who we are and what we've done. So far, easy, right? I'm just saying that I'm a real estate agent. This is what I do. Nothing different. Well, here's where it differs. Here's where we start telling a story of who we are and what we stand for. 2 pieces a year that says top places to eat locally. When we identify these pieces, because we've already outlined them in detail, we actually already have the mock-ups. We identify how many stars they got too, and the write-ups they got from Yelp. Next, 2 pieces a year that tell you the top places to eat for dessert. Now it's getting a little bit more fun. Next, 2 pieces a year that say, hey, things I enjoy doing in Malibu, close to this area, the niche area that we're targeting. Next, 1 piece that says 1 best local park, or 2 or 3 local parks, whatever you want to do. And this piece right here, no matter where I've sent it to, has been one of the pieces that we've gotten the biggest responses on over the last 2 years. Where people text me back, they call me, and I've had one person send me a letter on this. And that's this 1 piece a year that says the top 5 books to read this year. And the design has the 5 covers of the books with the reviews from Amazon. And it says, these are the 5 books that I recommend for 2020 or for 2019 or whatever it was. Now, all of a sudden, you see the change here with what I'm telling you when I went back to the beginning on strategy. And I said, well, who's my demographic? What area am I targeting? What story am I trying to tell here? What's my objective? My objective is to not send so much spam because everybody gets just listed, just sold crap. And we're being jaded by it. We're not telling a story. I want to separate myself by the things I send. People can identify with me, those people that I'm targeting. Next, 1 piece a year. This is specific to Thanksgiving. It's a story about Thanksgiving. It goes out at the beginning of November. Next, one on quotes, specifically quotes on making life better. We have 6 quotes on this postcard, and they're all life quotes. Next, one postcard that says top 5 places to visit in California. Why do we send this out? Well, in Malibu, the area that we're targeting, we have people who love to travel and vacation all around California. Carmel, Laguna, all these places that I put on the postcard. And then the last one is one postcard that says 5 simple steps to increase your home's value. So that's the outline, and we went all the way. We asked, what's next? What do we do next? Well, how do I identify if people call me? Yeah, I put a tracking number on them. Well, what's next after that? A lot of the times we stop asking what's next. So the purpose of tactics is 2 parts. It's where will you market? What are you going to use? Online, offline? If you're going to go online, what? If you're going to go offline, where? And the consistency is going to come into play if you just keep on asking what's next. What do I do next? And then lastly here, under staying consistent is keep learning and give value. If you stop learning on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, here, I'm going to go back a step. You have, and I told you this last week, we have up to 70,000 thoughts in a day. And what we focus on really depends on the questions we ask, the people we hang around with, and what we're listening to, what we're watching. That's how we determine what we're focusing on, right? Our reticular activating system grabs onto those things. But here's the thing. If you're not continually learning on a daily, weekly basis, what happens is this. You have the same thoughts you had last week. You have the same thoughts you had a year ago. You had the same thoughts 2 years ago. They're not progressing. This is why your marketing still looks the same. You need to continually learn, continually see what's next, adapt your marketing, and keep on asking the question, what's next? But you've got to set time to learn, because as you learn and grow, you start being able to give more value to your clients, to the people that you work for, to the people that you're serving, to the people that you want to connect with that message, that story of who you are and how you can help them. That's what, when you apply learning to your business, you grow exponentially. But you always have to be asking that question, what's next? But instead, this is the question. This is the attitude that we get. And you've heard this all around. I'm like, hey, you know what? You should do it like this. You should definitely try this. This is me telling them. And this is what they say. Okay, I'll give it a try, but it probably won't work. That's the attitude that we mostly have with everything. Where it's like, yeah, I'll give it a try. You already failed before you tried it. So when you look at something and say, I think I want to take this on for my business, I need you to split it into 2 parts. What's the strategy and what are my tactics? And keep on asking, what's next? What's next? Because that will never end. This is how you can guarantee yourself growing. What's next? Thanks for watching part 2 to this. Don't forget to watch part 1 if you missed part 1. And do me a favor and subscribe and click that little bell. Have an awesome day.